Hey everybody, Pastor Dan here. This video is part of our Meet the Council series, where every week or so in the church newsletter, I am interviewing a different member of our church council. And I am very pleased to be joined today by our new treasurer, Beth Dickinson. How you doing, Beth?
I'm doing great, Pastor Dan. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Thanks. It's a little hot this week, but the air conditioner is my saving grace right now.
Everybody's friend this week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To start things off, Beth, why don't you tell us about your faith journey?
Well, I was born into a Christian family. We were conservative Lutherans. And even as a very young child, I started questioning some of the beliefs and, the teachings of that faith. When I was 5 years old, I announced from the front of the church that I was going to be a pastor when I grew up. And I can still hear the audible gasp from the whole congregation. And when it was explained to me later that, women cannot read scripture in church and you can never become a pastor, I was kind of dismayed even at 5 years old. When I became an adult, I started, going to several different other churches. Many of them I settled at for a period of time. Each one was a little bit more progressive than the previous one.
Mhm.
And, that went on for quite a long period of time. And I would say about 5 years ago, I decided to leave the church that I was at and began another spiritual, journey, kind of a search for a new church where maybe I could settle into a church again because I really wanted to be churched, but I just was unsettled. And so I would say maybe every week for almost a year, I went to a different church every week.
What was that experience like? Because that's like 50 churches.
Well, yeah, it was interesting. A few of them we went to a couple of times, but some of them were very small, very loving, lots and lots of old people. Some good sermons, but a lot of just, the same old on repeat. Um,
Hmm.
some of them were nice, some of it was good, but nowhere that I wanted to stay and settle. I just couldn't find what I was looking for.
So then, what ended up leading you to our church?
Well, actually, my husband Carol had been suggesting to me several times, why don't we try the Brockport First Baptist Church? And I was a bit reluctant because some of the Baptists I had grown up with had left a bad impression. And I never really researched and found out there was more than one kind of Baptist. But I was intrigued by the church sign. During that year of looking for churches, I drove by it all the time. I read the church sign every week, and I kept chuckling, thinking, well, they are different here. These are not what I always thought Baptists were like. And then we decided, to visit. And I had also been listening to your sermons during that year. Quite often, I would go in and just catch the sermon. I went back and checked out a few other sermons from some of the past series. And before I was willing to step foot in this church, I wanted to make sure the teaching was sound, which it was, because that was very, very important to me. After attending my very first church service at this church, I left thinking, wow, this might be my new church home. And I was looking for a lot of things. I was very happy that we were open, welcoming, and affirming, but I wanted to make sure that covered lots of things. Like it didn't matter what people's educational level were or how much money they earned. I wanted to make sure the church really was open to all people and that we would have young people and children and things like that. But one thing that I was really concerned about was how open people could be about the real struggles in life. And after attending the church for about a month, pretty much all those questions were answered. I heard single moms pray and ask for prayers, people going through divorces, people praying for their children or family members or friends or neighbors who were dealing with alcoholism, drug abuse, incarceration, and all the normal kind of prayers I was used to, like people with illnesses and death in the family. But people were really able to bare their souls to this church, and people didn't shun them or act like they were shocked. They really cared about them. And
Yeah,
that was super important.
yeah. I remember back when we used to do the open mic for prayer requests. Those were some pretty powerful Sundays. Um, well, thank you for sharing all that, Beth, and I concur. It's a wonderful group of people here at this church, and we really do. try to make space for everyone and make everyone feel at home and welcome. And I think we succeed at that, I don't know, at least 90% of the time. So you are the new church treasurer, and I know church treasurer is a role that strikes fear into the hearts of many. But why don't you tell us a little bit about what the church treasurer actually does?
Well, I feel very privileged to be the church treasurer and work on this church council. The church treasurer really oversees all the finances of the church, reviews the income, the revenue, and also all the expenditures, and also keeps an eye just on all the money of the church and making sure it's invested wisely and that really we use our resources the way we should be using them. I feel that we really should be good stewards of the money that our church has.
With all the other council members I've spoken to in this series, I've asked them sort of how can folks from the congregation get involved in your area of ministry. We might not think of that in terms of the finance piece of what the treasurer does, but I'm betting you can name at least one or two ways that if people want to get involved and help on the financial side of things in our church, what should they be doing?
Obviously, the first thing is, give to the church as you can. If you're giving, if you can give a little bit more, that always helps. If you don't give to the church, consider starting. Every little tiny bit each week, if it's given consistently over a period of time, really adds up to help. Look at expenses. If you see any place you think we could conserve money or not waste some money, let us know. We're looking for that too. Not things that affect our ministries, just those little things that you can see. And also, we're looking for people to serve on the finance committee. That's a really important committee of our church. We're going to be looking at the stewardship campaign, budgeting, and we review the finances and how money is invested. And I can tell you, I think it's going to be a good place to serve because we do have a good, solid foundation of money in our endowment fund that's invested. And we're just looking for people to come up with new ideas and help with the finances and know what's going on at the church.
I'll say too, as a non-money expert myself, you do not need to be a numbers expert or a finance expert to serve on the finance team. If you care about our church, if you love our church, if you're willing to be part of the conversation, you can help in that role. Do we also still need help with money counting, or is that not something we're looking for at this time, like money
Yeah, we
counter?
could always use another money counter. We're down to 3 people, and it would be really great to have 4. And it's
Cool.
really only a commitment of about twice a month for about an hour or two.
Well, if you want to help with that planning, if you want to be part of that process, talk to me, talk to Beth, or talk to anyone on church council. We'll get you connected with the folks you need to know to be in the loop and to help out with that stuff. Beth, thank you again so much for joining me. For everyone else, we will see you at worship this Sunday at 10 a.m. Grace and peace.